Welcome to the wonderful world of Halo mech suits, because walking tanks is the new black. These hulking metal nightmares range from mildly overcompensating to who hurt the engineer. Whether it's a mobile suit that turns your average marine into a forklift with anger issues, or a quadrupedal weapons platform that is piloted by an alien on a futuristic jihad against humanity, the principle is still the same. Big metal crushes small flesh. Now let's take a look at the mech suits and walkers, and also explore a bit about the AI constructs of the universe of Halo. We begin here with the mech suits of humanity, well, excluding the exoskeletons, which includes the Mjolnir armors, which aren't really mech suits, they're just armored suits. Let's begin. We start with the Hunting, probably pronouncing it wrong, the Mark IIIB, better known as the Cyclops, cause apparently gigantic mechanical arm smashing death suit is too long to say out loud. This towering bipedal mech suit is the UNSC's idea of subtle diplomacy. Standing over 14 feet tall and nearly as wide, it is basically a walking forklift from hell. Born out of the ashes of the original Mark III exoskeleton, this newer model was the product of Project Hunting. Again, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. They took one look at the defunct original and said, well, we can salvage this, probably. Unlike the Mjolnir armor worn by Spartans, the Cyclops isn't worn so much as climbed into, like a metal cage match you voluntarily sign up for. The pilot sits snugly inside a sealed cockpit surrounded by a transparent canopy and a roll cage, presumably so that they can enjoy a clear view of all the carnage they're causing. To make piloting the beast slightly more graceful than trying to drive a bulldozer, the Cyclops uses a full-body haptic interface. This thing lets the pilot control the mech using their own movements, turning it into an aggressive metal puppet. So going bigger, enter the Hunting Yggdrasil Mark IX armor defense system, better known as the Mantis, because nothing says humanity's last stand like naming your giant walking death robot after a bug. Towering at over 20 feet tall and weighing over 5 metric tons, the Mantis is what happens when military engineers take a look at a praying mantis and say, you know what will make this better? Missiles. Originally cobbled together with surprisingly few workplace fatalities by the Hunting and Yggdrasil think tanks, the Mantis is fast, has energy shielding that regenerates, and only needs one poor soul in the cockpit to do all the murder work. Thanks to tech borrowed straight from the Spartan Mjolnir armor, like the neural interface link, fusion power plant, and shielding system, the Mantis gives the pilot a more intimate experience with their war crimes. It can sprint up to 34.5 miles an hour, which doesn't really sound that much or terrifying, but when you realize it's a bipedal 5-ton warframe armed with an anti-material machine gun and a missile pod charging at you like a armored linebacker on bath salts, well, that changes the perspective. Then even bigger is the Hunting Yggdrasil Mark II-D Garion, affectionately known as the Mega Mantis, cause when your Mantis mech isn't impractical enough, just make it bigger. Built by the ever-ambitious Materials Group, this towering exoskeleton mech suit looks like the Mantis' angry older brother who skipped leg day and decided salty was for cowards. Armed with a multi-barrel cannon and a generous helping of missile launchers, it was designed to showcase the cutting edge of humanity's discrimination. Originally tested in space where gravity doesn't really harsh your vibe, the Garion did great. Then someone had the bright idea to try it on a planet, where it promptly waddled around like a drunk giraffe in steel boots. Turns out being huge and top heavy isn't really ideal for mobility, but it's still a beast. Then next, say hello to the Hunting Yggdrasil Mark II-J armor defense system, better known as the Colossus. The UNSC's answer to the question, what if a building could walk and shoot railguns? Standing at a towering 9 meters tall, or around 30 feet, stretching 5.8 meters wide on 19 feet, and tipping the scales at a hefty 11.3 metric tons, the Colossus is less vehicle and more like a mobile war monument. It's not exactly agile, more like a slow, deliberate force of nature. The gun that it has, the Mark II 555 20cm heavy railgun, was, actually originally designed for stationary defense placements. The kind that doesn't move and lets gravity do the heavy lifting, except here, the Colossus does the heavy lifting. So to deal with threats that aren't really smeared across the landscape by this heavy weapon, it also packs an M19 3LP 20mm autocannon, which is perfect for all-out chaos and making light vehicles and infantry feel like paper toys. Now that we're done with humanity, let's head over to the mechs and walkers of the Covenant species, and also of the same species that diverged from that unholy United Nations of interstellar species. We first start here with the Goblin, the Penap Goblin, which was designed by the Ungoi for the Ungoi. Here are the grunts for the grunts. This 13 feet, 2.5 tons bipedal exosuit is basically what happens when a race of methane-huffing comic relief aliens finally said, "Screw it, we want to punch humans too," and somehow it kinda worked. The Goblin is a chunky armored mech built on the sacred design principles of ugly but it moves, featuring thick armor plating, energy shielding, and the ability to jump 200 feet into the air, which is frankly rude for something that looks like it should tip over when walking upstairs. It's designed to mimic some ancient Forerunner form, whatever that is, and as for weapons, it's got a double-barreled needle cannon that can lock onto 8 targets at once and ruin your whole squad's day by exploding purple crystal death. That is backed by the Shot Storm launcher, which sounds exactly what it does. It shots out high explosive blamite like it's got food poisoning and diarrhea. Then we head over to the more famous Scarabs, which are officially a mining platform because blasting cities into rubble apparently counts as excavation. These quadrupedal, 50-meter tall, 150 to 200 ton mechanical nightmares are piloted not by people but by a squirmy nest of worm aliens called the Legolo, who thought the best way to operate heavy machinery was to become it. Each Scarab model is basically a different flavor of run or die. The Rauru pattern Super Scarab is the big sibling nobody asked for, with an overpowered focus cannon. Then there's the Sumdate pattern that is like the Mantis mech on space steroids. The Protoss pattern Scarab, which is a glorified alien claw machine grabbing artifacts. The Deutorus pattern is your average everyday apocalypse machine. Then there's the Banished Scarab, courtesy of the Barukaza workshop, souped up with an unstable plasma beam cause stability apparently is overrated for this new Banished faction. Funny enough, the Scarab was not formally considered a vehicle by the Covenant, but was employed as an ultra-heavy infantry unit. Then next, the Shulse pattern Kraken, officially called the Shulse pattern Subjugator or the Type 55 ultra-heavy siege tower. This squid-shaped fortress is like a kraken that walks on land, and it's actually called the Kraken by the UNSC. This monstrous behemoth walks through the land at 527 meters tall, yep, taller than the Empire State Building, and weighs a casual, maybe 1,000,000 tons, and has 3 giant grappler arms designed to move mountains. The Kraken is actually composed of a large hollow structure inside that allows large aerial vehicles such as the Phantom dropships to fly and even land inside it. It is also heavily defended by an array of turrets all around the body, thus making it really deadly. So if you haven't been around Halo 4 after the OG3 games were done being played, you'd probably have missed out on the Banished, a faction of ex-Covenant plus mercenaries that employ war crimes like the basic flanking maneuvers in battle. They're so radical that they have a walker that flies, yep, a flying walker, so basically a flyer. This hexapedal, that's fancy Latin for 6-legged beast, is basically a heavy air vehicle with a serious attitude problem and can walk. On the ground, it locks itself down, spreads its legs open, and splits open its armored shell to unleash a salvo of 6 long-range annihilator missiles, so basically a ladyboy in Thailand. In other words, it's a mobile missile fortress that can rain down death like a particularly nasty thunderstorm. Now heading over to the Forerunners, who made AI constructs rather than mechs, cause they're too fancy and advanced for mechs. Not including the Sentinels here, which are basically just their flying thinking drones, but we will include the ones that can walk, or at least are big. And we begin this list with the biggest, which are the Guardians, which are these angelic mountains that could scream at you and delete continents. The Guardians are ancient peacekeeping constructs. Peacekeeping. These things are city-sized flying death angels capable of frying fleets in the air or space and making Spartans feel like ants under a magnifying glass. They were meant to maintain order. They measure 1.4 kilometers tall, or almost a mile, in freedom units, and 200 million tons, which is something that you can't comprehend, and neither can I. The Guardians were known to be strange and cold cause apparently size matters, and cause we're small we don't, and they had no personality or empathy, or limited. Then next we have the War Sphinx, which is a mid-sized war machine which isn't some clunky Forerunner robot. It's actually a multi-terrain nightmare that can storm around on the ground, soar through the skies, or float in space like it owns the place. Standing around 10 meters tall and 20 meters long, it's got legs for walking, wings and a tail for flying, and a set of weapons for prejudicial killing. Its command cabin, which is perched on top like a grumpy old Forerunner face, watches everything with what could only be described as eternal disdain. These versatile war machines could escort capital ships, swarm enemies in space battles, or drop in from orbit and bombard the hell out of any poor planet unfortunate enough to be on the receiving end of the ones that bear the mantle. And lastly, let's get on to the Prometheans, the mechanical ones, not the living ones, which are basically extinct now. These are basically the Ur-Didact's high-tech solution to one big problem, fighting the flood without getting infected. Instead of sending living soldiers, cause they don't have any now, who could turn into gooey zombie monsters, he built these creepy slick war machines, a whole lineup of them, from powerful leader-type knights to swarming little crawlers and watchful sentinels called the Watchers. What's wild is that each Promethean knight AI isn't just random code, it's actually the soul or neural pattern of a real organic being, a human probably, ripped out and uploaded by a Forerunner device called the Composer. The first knights were made from the loyal warriors, but when that wasn't enough, the Didact got, let's say, creative and turned an entire human colony's population into a gigantic army of these metal monsters. The same can be said about the Armigers, which are also called Promethean soldiers, and they're all basically the same mechanical AI constructs but sourced from previous living sentient beings, which kinda really explains why the precursors didn't really want the Forerunners or the Ur-Didact to bear the mantle of responsibility. And with that, we end this video on the mech suits, walkers and AI constructs of the Halo universe. And with that, we end this video. If you like this one, then check this other one too, the one in the end screens. Do hit the like button for support and smash the subscribe button to be a part of Legio Nutbug. Till the next time, take care, boys.